You've touched a hot pan, and before your brain even had a chance to process what happened, your hand was already moving away. That reflex is so fast, it feels almost like magic. But here's the thing, pain itself isn't the reflex. Pain comes after. And somewhere on this planet right now, there are animals that could hold their paw over that same flame and feel almost nothing. Not because they're broken, but because evolution made a completely different choice for them. Meet the naked mole rat. It looks like a wrinkled thumb with teeth, lives underground in total darkness, and by almost every biological measure, it should suffer constantly. Its tunnels fill with CO2 that would give you a splitting headache. Acid from the earth seeps into its skin, and yet, it feels no burning sensation from acid at all. Scientists discovered this and thought they'd made a mistake. When researchers at University College London tested naked mole rats, they applied diluted acid and capsaicin, the compound that makes chili peppers burn, directly to the animal's skin. In mice and rats, this causes immediate, visible distress. In naked mole rats, virtually nothing. And when the team looked inside the animal's nervous system, they found something extraordinary. A crucial pain signaling protein called substance P was simply absent from their sensory circuits. Evolution had quietly deleted it. To understand why that matters, you need to know how pain actually works inside you. When you stub your toe, specialized nerve endings called nociceptors fire an electrical signal up your spinal cord. That signal gets amplified and interpreted by your brain, which stamps it with urgency. This is wrong. Stop doing this. The whole system is a survival alarm. But here's the strange part. The alarm isn't always the same. The volume, the frequency, the emotional color of pain, all of it is tunable. And in some animals, evolution turned the dial almost all the way down. Sharks, for instance, keep swimming after losing body parts to battles that would leave a human in shock. For a long time, people assumed sharks just had primitive nervous systems, that they were too simple to process pain. But that's not quite right. Sharks have nociceptors. They have the hardware. What they appear to lack is the emotional suffering layer, the part of pain that makes you dread it, remember it, and feel despair about it. And that distinction between detecting damage and suffering from it is one of the most important ideas in pain science. Or consider the grasshopper mouse, a tiny predator that hunts scorpions in the American desert. When a bark scorpion stings it, the venom hits its nerve cells. But instead of triggering a pain signal, the venom actually blocks pain. The mouse's nerve cells have evolved so that the same chemical that would make you scream actually silences the alarm. Researchers at the University of Texas found that the mouse's sodium ion channels, the gates that carry pain signals, had mutated in a way that converted a weapon into an anesthetic. The poison became the painkiller. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because it's not just different species that experience pain differently. Humans do too, in ways that are deeply strange and deeply revealing. There are rare individuals born with a condition called congenital insensitivity to pain. They feel touch, temperature, pressure, but pain signals never arrive. Sounds like a superpower, right? It is actually one of the most dangerous medical conditions a person can have. Children with this condition bite through their own tongues as infants because they don't know to stop. They break bones and keep walking on them. They suffer joint damage and internal injuries they can't detect. One documented case involved a young girl in Pakistan who performed street acrobatics for money, walking on coals, plunging knives into her arms, before dying at age 14 from injuries she'd simply never felt building up. Her case was studied by researchers at Cambridge, who traced the condition to a single mutated gene, SCN9A, a gene that controls sodium channels in pain-sensing nerves. That one gene, SCN9A, it keeps appearing across pain research like a master key. People who lack a working version of it feel no pain. People with overactive versions, they're trapped in constant agony. And when scientists found the same gene, slightly altered, in the grasshopper mouse, the pieces started clicking together. Pain isn't just a sensation. It's a carefully calibrated genetic program, and different creatures are running different versions of that program. Sea cucumbers and certain jellyfish have nervous systems so distributed and decentralized that the concept of centralized pain processing may not even apply. They react to damage, they recoil, they release chemicals, but whether they experience anything like suffering is a question that keeps neuroscientists up at night. Because suffering, it turns out, requires something very specific, a brain structure that cares about what the body is reporting. In humans, two brain regions are central to the suffering dimension of pain: the anterior cingulate cortex and the insula. These areas don't just detect the damage is happening, they assign it meaning. They make pain feel bad in an emotional sense. They're the reason a paper cut feels annoying, while the same level of tissue damage during an exciting moment of your life barely registers. Pain isn't just a signal, it's an interpretation, and your brain is constantly rewriting the story. Henry Beecher was an American anesthesiologist who worked in World War II. He noticed something that changed pain science forever. Soldiers with severe wounds, limbs destroyed, bodies riddled with shrapnel, often reported feeling little or no pain on the battlefield. Back home, civilians with much smaller surgical wounds writhed in agony. Beecher concluded that the meaning of the injury made all the difference. For the soldier, a wound meant survival, escape from the front, being alive. For the civilian, surgery meant threat, loss of control, fear. Same body, completely different pain. Tibetan monks, practicing a meditation technique called tumo, have been documented sitting in near-freezing conditions and generating enough body heat to dry wet sheets draped over them. Western scientists who studied them found their ability to modulate autonomic responses was genuinely measurable. And chronic pain patients who learn mindfulness-based pain reduction show real changes in brain activity, not just attitude. The anterior cingulate cortex actually quiets. The story the brain tells about pain can be rewritten by the mind doing the telling. That is not mystical. That is neuroscience. Now here's the mid-story twist, the one that reframes everything we've just covered. For decades, pharmaceutical companies chased a dream, a perfect painkiller. Something that kills pain completely, like the naked mole rat's missing protein, without the side effects of opioids. And scientists found a target. Block SCN9A, the pain gene. Drugs that selectively silence it. Clinical trials began, and the results were mixed. Because it turns out, when you remove pain too completely in humans, you lose something you didn't know you needed. Pain in chronic small doses is part of how you learn. It guides movement, prevents overuse, tells your body where its limits are. People in trials with severe sodium channel blockers sometimes couldn't gauge how hard they were gripping things. They'd accidentally crush what they were holding. Their proprioception, their sense of their own body and space, degraded. It turned out that some of the fibers carrying pain were also carrying information about body position and physical feedback. Remove the alarm entirely, and you go partially blind to your own physical self. Which brings us back to the animals. The naked mole rat doesn't need acid pain because it never encounters acid as a threat. It evolved in an environment where that signal was more costly than useful. The grasshopper mouse lives where scorpions are unavoidable, so flipping the pain channel into an off switch was a competitive advantage. The shark's emotional detachment from injury keeps it functional in violent conditions where hesitation means death. Every animal's pain profile is a negotiation between what hurts them and what helps them survive. Evolution didn't eliminate pain because pain is bad, it tuned pain because pain is information. And that's the profound thing about why you feel pain the way you do. You're not broken or overly sensitive. You're running the human program. A program built for a social, tool-using, long-lived creature that needs to remember injuries, avoid repeating mistakes, communicate suffering to others, and take its health seriously across decades of life. The intensity and emotional weight of human pain isn't a design flaw. It's the cost of being the kind of animal that builds hospitals, writes poetry about heartbreak, and calls a friend when something hurts. Pain even has a social dimension that most animals don't share. Humans are exquisitely sensitive to others' pain. We flinch when we see someone else get hurt. That's called empathic pain response, and it lights up some of the same regions in your brain as actual injury. No other species shows this response as consistently or as powerfully. Your pain isn't just about you. It's part of how our species holds itself together. Suffering made visible creates care, and care is what kept small, slow, clawless humans alive on a planet full of things much faster and more dangerous. There's a philosopher named David Bain who argues that pain is valuable not despite being unpleasant, but because of it. The unpleasantness is the point. It makes you act. A cane you could ignore completely would be evolutionarily useless. What separates human pain from the grasshopper mouse's suppressed sting isn't sophistication, it's purpose. Our pain is loud because our lives are long and our decisions are complex, and the stakes of getting our bodies wrong are enormous. Right now, researchers are working on something genuinely remarkable: targeted pain medicines that act only on specific types of nociceptors, blocking pain in one tissue type without touching the rest. Work inspired directly by the grasshopper mouse and the naked mole rat. Animal oddities are becoming human medicine. One creature's evolutionary accident is another species' pharmaceutical breakthrough. That's not a metaphor. Clinical trials are underway, and the grasshopper mouse's mutated sodium channel is on the short list. So the next time pain wakes you at 3 a.m. and you lie there wondering why your body is doing this to you, here's what's actually happening. An ancient, finely tuned biological system, shaped over hundreds of millions of years, is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It's talking to you. It's insisting you pay attention. Not because the universe is cruel, but because the universe selected again and again for creatures that listened to their own suffering and survived because of it. The naked mole rat and the human are not opposites. They're two different answers to the same question evolution keeps asking. How much should this creature feel? The mole rat said, not much. We live underground. Damage is rare and acid is ambient. The human said, everything, deeply, memorably, with full emotional weight, because the human has a future to protect, relationships to maintain, and a brain sophisticated enough to use the information. You feel pain the way you do because you are the most complex survival machine on this planet, and complexity has a price. Here's what should genuinely amaze you. Pain isn't permanent. It's designed to be temporary, purposeful, and instructive. The same system that creates agony also creates relief. The same brain that amplifies injury also releases endorphins, your internal opioids, naturally and powerfully. Marathon runners know this. Women in labor know this. The human system contains its own painkiller as potent as morphine, waiting to be deployed when the body decides you've heard the alarm long enough. The mole rat never needed that balance. You do. Pain connects you to every other human who has ever lived. Every person who walked away from fire learned something. Every child who touched a thorn told someone else. Every patient who described their symptoms to a healer pushed medicine forward. The entire edifice of surgery, anesthesia, medicine, it exists because humans felt pain loudly enough to demand a solution. The grasshopper mouse fights scorpions alone in the dark and asks for nothing. You built a civilization partly because you couldn't stop caring about what hurts. That is not weakness. That is the whole story. So why do some animals feel almost no pain, while you feel everything? Because pain is a language, and different creatures are saying different things with it. The naked mole rat whispers. The shark stays silent. The grasshopper mouse translated poison into quiet. And you speak at full volume, in full sentences, with memory and meaning, and the ability to tell someone else exactly where it hurts. That capacity for articulate suffering is inseparable from your capacity for empathy, for medicine, for love. The question isn't why you feel so much. The question is, what are you going to do with all that information?